When you get the call to make an Easter tomb, one of the most iconic symbols in the world, you say yes. I will be there with my rock at the appointed time. Let's go. Come on, let's go. We don't have time. We gotta go. This isn't the first time I've used insulation foam. Funny enough, the other project was tombstones as well, but it was Disney's Haunted Halloween Mansion tombstones. I used a saw for most of those cuts. I knew I'd be doing something different here. I tried a thin wire, but I knew I'd be doing a lot of sculpting and I needed something better. I was watching Jazz's Catan build and he used a bent hot knife to do a lot of his cuts. So I'm gonna try out a straight knife and we're going to try out the bent knife. I was nervous about how this knife would do, but I needn't have been. This thing was like a dream. While these clips are obviously sped up, it did cut very smoothly. This was all the foam I had on hand, but I thought with a little bit of extra work, I could make this at least 3 layers thick instead of just 2. I'm just gluing on each layer and then trimming it roughly off with the knife. I'm seriously impressed with this knife. 3 layers thick, it's just cutting nice and smooth through all of them. This is where it starts to get fun, as I start to get to put a little shape in, and now I'm not just doing straight lines, but I'm starting to sculpt, people. Cruising along, and that's when it happened. This likely won't surprise you, but I learned that grabbing foam you just melted can cause burns. Beveling the edges of the rock was fun, but it just whetted my appetite to really try some sculpting. I just played around bending the wire and trying and then bending a little bit more until I found a rough shape that seemed to create some natural looking patterns in the rock. The knife sculpting already made it pretty rough, but I decided to use a weathering trick I had used on Disney tombstones. You spray a little bit of water on it and then you hit it with a heat gun. This added some additional texturing. This waterproofer creates a nice seal and adds great texture. With the dry lock on, I could finally start painting. I laid down a nice whitish tan color to give it that just outside of Jerusalem rock look, but it was still way too uniform. I knew I was gonna have to come up with something else. I need to turn this into a rock. Here's sort of the muse that it's gonna be up against. Here are varying shades of brown, bronze, and pink. All right, let's get to mixing. The first attempt was way too light. I guess this is why people pay for pre-made washes. Yummy, looks like hot chocolate. Oh, there we go. Once I got the right ratio, it was easy enough. I just tried out different colored paints and had a lot of fun. This part was really gratifying to start giving it a natural stone look. I was really nervous about this painting, but once I got into it, it was a lot of fun. I really couldn't go wrong. And I think it turned out great. But now I was completely out of time and I had to run to go get set up for the Easter program. Just a regular Wednesday night. Once the lights are off with the signature piece, we'll be transported to ancient Israel. The event was a huge success, and this helped create an ambiance that made it a really special moment for several hundred people. You'll notice a couple of ridges here on the side, which I really don't like. This is caused from the clear Gorilla Glue. They were harder to cut through and you really couldn't make these seams go away. We ended up going to a workshop in New Orleans where they make 500 sculptures a year that go out on parade floats and for businesses. I asked them what they did and they said that they used great stuff. You can see it here in these pictures. I understand you have to clamp the great stuff together while it's curing, but once it's cured, it's essentially just foam and you can carve it smooth. If you enjoyed this build, take a look at my DIY Disney Tombstones video here. I use a Dremel and stencil to carve the funny Haunted Mansion style stones.